Hello folks, this is your practice problems video on the interior and exterior angles of a polygon. So in these practice problems, we're going to use both of those formulas, or actually all three, really, technically, because if we're talking about interior and exterior angles. And I'm going to show you how these can be used in different ways, right? Sometimes you end up just plugging information in and simplifying. But other times you'll end up using the equations and using the relationships in order to solve for something that you don't know. Very similar to a lot of the stuff that we've done so far in geometry, right? Where I'm going to give you a formula, you have to be able to identify what part goes where, and then use your algebra skills in order to solve for something that's missing. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it here. So this first question is giving us the measure of the exterior angles in a regular polygon, and they want us to find the number of sides. So each of these is the exterior angle here, okay? So remember, my formula is that each exterior angle equals 360 divided by n. So in these problems, I know this value, and I'm looking for n. So here in this one, right? This would be 72 equals 360 over n. Now there's a couple of ways you can go through and solve this, okay? But the way that's going to take you the least amount of steps is to take this value and your variable and switch their locations. So n equals 360 divided by 72, right? And then if you don't know what that is just off the top of your head, because the more of these problems you do, you'll get better at remembering like which numbers go together almost, right? But this, if you divide 360 and 72, you get 5. So there's 5 sides in this polygon. Okay, all right, so I want you to try the other one. Okay, so pause the video real quick, try the other one, and then check back with me to see how you did. Alrighty, folks, so you should have gotten 9 sides for part B of number 1 here. Okay, if each exterior angle is 40, right, 360 divided by 40 is 9. All right, let's take a look at number 2, okay, which says find the measure of an interior and an exterior angle of a regular 46gon. Okay, so that means a polygon with 46 sides. Now, there are a couple of ways that you could do this. You could just go and directly use both formulas. So the interior angle formula is 180 times n minus 2 divided by n, and the exterior angle formula is 360 divided by n. Now, one other thing that's going to make these problems a little easier, right? This is a work smarter, not harder kind of thing, is that remember that each interior angle plus each exterior angle has to equal 180, right? Because the two of them come together to make a straight line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this formula, which is simpler, to find the exterior angle, and then I'm going to subtract that from 180 in order to get the interior angle. Okay, so each exterior angle is 360 divided by 46. Right, and I'm going to plug that into my calculator because I actually don't know what that is off the top of my head. And I'm going to round it, so I got 7.83 when you round. So that's how many degrees each exterior angle is. Okay, that means that each interior angle is 180 minus 7.83, which is 172.17 degrees. Okay, right, and you'll notice, and I'm hoping that this kind of intuitively makes sense, is that the larger the number of sides is, the bigger the interior angles have to be, which makes the exterior angles smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, you could, again, like I said, you could use this formula right here to find each interior angle, you could do this, 180 times 46 minus 2 over 46, and you would get the exact same answer that I got here. Okay? All right. So this is one of those places where it's a, work smarter, not harder kind of thing. Okay? All right, let's take a look at number 3. Okay, so they tell us in this problem that the measure of one exterior angle in a regular polygon is 2x, okay, and one interior angle is 4x, okay? So part A says to use the relationship, which is this relationship right here, the relationship between the interior and exterior angles in order to find some missing values, okay? So if I kind of sketch this out, right, no matter what this polygon looks like, right, I have my interior angle here is going to be 2x. Oh, sorry, my exterior angle. I put things in the wrong spots here. Okay, my interior angle, apologies, is 4x. And then my exterior angle is 2x. Again, this is just a sketch, right? Not to scale. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those two values, 4x plus 2x, and that's got to equal 180. Okay, so that becomes 6x equals 180, and then I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides, divide by 6, so you get that x is equal to 30. Okay? Part B says to find the measure of one interior and exterior angle. Well, now that I know what x is, I'm just going to plug that back in. So the interior angle was 4x, so that's 4 times 30, which is 120. So obviously my drawing up here is not to scale, okay? And then the exterior angle is 2x, so 2 times 30, which is 60, okay? All right, then C says find the number of sides in the polygon and the type of polygon. So because I know the measure of both the interior and exterior angles, I usually use the exterior angle formula whenever I can, just because it's simpler than the interior angle formula, and there's less like algebra to do, right? Less complicated algebra. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this exterior angle formula to help me find the number of sides. Okay, so my number of sides is what I don't know, but I know each exterior angle is 60 degrees. So 60 equals 360 over n. And then remember, with problems like this, you can do the swap trick, right? So take this value and swap them. Okay, so you get n equals 360 divided by 60, which is 6. Right, so 6 sides means that I am dealing with a hexagon. All right. Okay, so the last 3 problems here, problem 4, 5, and 6, deal more with the interior angle formula. So this guy right here, okay? Since these first 3 have dealt a little bit more with the exterior angle formulas, all right? Okay, so number 4. They tell us that one interior angle is 144, and they want to know how many sides does it have. So I'm looking for n, all right? So I'm going to plug this information into my formula. Remember, the rule is each interior angle equals 180 times n minus 2 divided by n. So I know each interior angle, and I don't know n. So what I have is 144 equals 180 times n minus 2 divided by n. Now my advice is multiply both sides by n in order to get rid of that fraction. So I end up with 144n equals 180 times n minus 2 Okay, then what I'm going to do next is distribute my 180 straight through. Okay, so I have 144n equals 180n minus 360. Okay, then I'm going to subtract the 180n over to the other side. Right, once you get to this point, this just becomes an algebra problem. Right, so I end up with negative 36n equals negative 360. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 36. So that's going to cancel that out. So I end up with n is equal to 10. Okay, and that's my final answer there. Okay, all right. So I actually want you all to try number 5 here on your own, okay, but I'm going to set you up a little bit. So we're talking about a hexagon, and I know 5 angle measurements in this hexagon, and I want to know how big the 6th angle is. So this is not a regular polygon. This is just some random polygon. We don't know that it's a regular polygon, and actually obviously it's not, because you have different measurements for all of these angles. So what that means is I'm going to need to use my sum of the interior angles formula, which is 180 times n minus 2. Once I have the sum, right, I can take all of these angles that I'm given, okay, and add those up, and then do some subtraction from my sum to find my missing angle. All right, so try this one out. See if you can do this one on your own. Pause the video, try it out, and then check back with me to see how you did. All right, folks, so go ahead and check your answers against mine. So the goal here is to find the measure of the missing 6th angle. So in order to do that, I need to know the sum of all of the angles together. Right, so that's where I'm going to use my sum of the interior angles formula, which is 180 times n minus 2. So I have 180 times 6 minus 2, because this is a hexagon, so that means n is equal to 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. 180 times 4 is 720. So that's the sum of all of my angles. And since I know 5 of those angles, I can add those up and subtract that from the total, 720, in order to find my missing angle, which is exactly what you see in green right here. Okay, so all of these angles added together is 600 degrees. I subtracted that from 720 and got that the missing angle was 120 degrees. All right, y'all, so we've got one more here. Okay, I'm going to do this first one, and then I'm going to give you a chance to try this second one here on your own. Okay, so let's take a look. So here, the goal is to find the value of x. Okay, this is a quadrilateral. N is 4. Okay, which means the sum of all of my angles in here, I have to use my sum formula again. So the sum of my interior angles is 180 times n minus 2, so 4 minus 2, so you get 180 times 2, which is 360, which is what we're used to, right? So this formula kind of verifies something that we already know, that in a quadrilateral, the sum of all the angles inside has to be 360. So these angles here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are all the parts, right, of this whole, this 360, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of those parts. So I have x plus 60 equals 360. Now, some of you may be able to do this in your head. I'm just writing out exactly what I'm adding, but some of you may want to skip to this step right here where you combine all of those x's into 3x. That's fine, right? I'm just writing out all of the steps so that you can see everything that I'm doing, right? And once you get to this point, this becomes an algebra equation that I need to solve, okay? So I'm going to subtract 60 over to the other side. I get 3x equals 300, and then I'm going to divide by 3, so you end up with x is equal to 100. Okay, so this is one of those cases where obviously the answer does not really match the picture, right? Because you see how you have like this angle x right here, this one is an acute angle. It's obviously less than 90 degrees, right? These are all different sizes, right? So the picture does not necessarily match the answer. It's mostly there for you as like a visualization tool. Okay, so this is one of those cases where like you can't take anything for granted unless it's noted in the picture. Like the picture may not necessarily be to scale. Okay, all right, so I want you to try this last one here on your own. Okay, but I'm going to give you a hint that you are going to have to find a couple of missing angles here and here first, using the relationship between the interior and the exterior angles. So remember that the interior angles plus its connected exterior angle always equals 180 because they always come together and form a straight line. Okay, so pause the video, give this one a try, and then I will check back with you to see how you did. All right, folks, so go ahead and check your answer against mine. So the last like half of this problem is very similar to the example that I did over on the left-hand side that's written in purple. But we had some missing information that we had to use our knowledge of interior and exterior angles in order to find, right? So that we could then continue on with the problem. So I color-coded those. So my missing angle there in purple is 42 plus what gives me 180. That's 138. And then the other missing one is in green, right? So what plus 80 equals 180. That missing one is 100. That missing angle is 100. Okay, so now I need to figure out, okay, what's the sum of all of those interior angles? So I'm not dealing with the 80 and the 42 anymore, right? Because I've used those already in order to help me find my missing interior angles. This sum formula is only for interior angles, not exterior angles. Okay, so this is a pentagon, right? It has 5 sides, so n equals 5. So the sum of all of those angles inside that pentagon is 180 times n, which is 5, minus 2. So 180 times 3, which is 540. So that's my sum. So that means all of these angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all have to add up to 540 degrees. So that's exactly what is written right here. Okay. You can kind of skip that step if you want and skip straight to like this step here if you're pretty good at combining like terms in your head. Okay. But that's what I did going from that starred step down 1. I just combined my like terms. So x and 2x is 3x. And then I added 110, 100, and 138 and got 348. And then I'm just using my algebra skills. So I'm subtracting 348 on both sides. I get 3x equals 192. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get that x is equal to 64. All right, folks, so that is it for this video. I hope this was helpful for you in seeing how you can use these formulas in different ways, depending on the context of the problem. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.